Working from home means anywhere can be an office, even the back of the garage.
You can make it pretty fancy in here, I reckon.
We're taking you through a Chelsea-winning garden that's been supersized by a superstar of landscape design.
And he's doing it one epic garden at a time.
I have a special little trick to get a professional-looking flower arrangement in your home anytime.
She's the composting queen of Australia, and you're about to find out why.
Honestly, I can see why you're influencing people all over the world to fall in love with composting.
It's been a few years since we all set up our home offices, and over time, things change, which is exactly the challenge that Ben has been facing. Ben, I hear you've got some really exciting news.
That's right. We're expecting another baby at the end of the year, which is amazing news. But unfortunately, it means that I'm going to have to give up my office area so we can fit in the baby.
Do you have anywhere in mind where you want to set up your desk?
There is probably a small area at the back of the garage that we could use.
No, just joking.
Oh, you almost gave me a heart attack.
I'll see you there.
So this is where I'm thinking.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, we can definitely work with this. And I love the fact that it's separate to the house because so often you get distracted working from home.
Yeah.
I would like to kind of open it out a bit. It's a beautiful part of the garden. What do you reckon, Ads?
Yeah, this is a really good space. It's a nice size, but I'll tell you what, this garage door definitely isn't working. So that would be the first thing that we've got to get rid of, and maybe replace it with some sliding stacking doors, and probably even add in a small little deck here to make it more inviting to get to.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I love those ideas. And I've also seen some really great DIY smart office options at Bunnings, so we can get you some of those as well.
Yeah, cool. But before you leave, Benny, you're going to use your muscles and help us clear out.
Oh, done.
There's actually a decent amount of space in here.
Yeah, no, there is. And I like how it's segmented into two, really, with this door being central.
Well, that's exactly right, because Ben and his wife want desks at either end, so that's going to be perfect.
Yeah, that's good. So we just got to keep in mind, obviously, that desks off the shelf, they're about 600 wide.
Yeah.
So that, plus you've got your chair there.
Yeah, and I think there'll be...
There's heaps of room, isn't there?
Plenty of room, and also
Yeah.
we can make use of all this vertical space as well. So I'll put in some shelves. We
Yeah.
can make it pretty fancy in here, I reckon.
You can look after the bench tops and I'll get this garage door down.
Deal.
To take this roller door down, it is nice and simple. Basically, we've got stoppers on each end that we need to take off. But before we undo the C-clips to lift it off, the tip here is just to get a ratchet, tie this door up. That way, once you go to pick it up, it doesn't unravel.
I'm keeping the desks super simple by using off-the-shelf panels from the hardware store. These are the perfect depth at 600, but I've had the lengths cut down to 1640. And with the offcuts, I'm going to make some shelves. So these longer pieces are going to be the backing board, and then the shorter pieces I'm going to screw on as the shelves themselves. Not bad for something so quick and easy. Now all I need to do is give everything a coat of clear varnish, and that will protect it all. Because I want this to look like a desk and not just a floating shelf, I'm also going to add some legs. So I'm going to give those a quick varnish as well.
The door unit that we're using here is off the shelf. Now, we could have used a single slider, which would have been a little bit smaller in this opening. That would have meant we would have had to frame in each side. But we want to really open this up, so we've gone with the sliding stacker. Now, the smallest unit you can get in that is 2.7, which means we need to open up this frame a little bit and make it a little bit taller. Before we open up this frame, I'm just going to be putting this collar tie here and joining it to the rafters and this little ridge prop here to hold everything where it is and stop it from spreading before we reinstate the frame. And how much better is this size opening? Now, I've got this aluminium flashing that we'll put in place. That's going to stop any water from coming in. It'll act like a little tray. The guys have the frame made up. This will simply slip in place. We'll plumb it up, we'll level it up, and we'll screw it off. How are we looking? Is it going to fit? What? You're in?
Wow, it looks so much better in here already.
How good is it? I tell you what, Jet, I'm thinking of a career change and I might just start working from here instead.
All right, settle down. We've got a bit more work to do before that happens. I'm just finishing off the paint on the exterior. I've chosen a black because it's going to give a really fresh and modern look. And after that, I need to install the desks and also the shelves inside. So I'm going to get onto it.
Beautiful. And I'll get on to making this deck.
Perfect. This concrete floor would have been okay, but I'm levelling up and placing down this marine grade carpet because it's going to give the room a more finished look. It's very durable because it's got a waterproof backing. It'll also help with the sound insulation. This beading here is what's going to support the panels for the desk. These legs are purely decorative, but they're going to give the desks a more substantial look. I'm just adding in some cable ducts which will tidy away all those appliance cables at the back of the desk. We're also using some VJ panel at the back of the desk in this lovely soft green, and I'm going to apply it with some construction adhesive.
For the deck, I'm using a prefab system. So you buy these frames off the shelf in a pack. Basically, everything is done for you. You simply just have to screw it together. They come in 1 metre by metre squares, and I'm using 3 of them. The other great thing about this system is they come on adjustable legs. It's on a thread, so you can basically move it up and down until your deck is levelled. On the other end, where the land is sloping up, I've got my old mate Callum, and he's excavated the land out for me. That way, our frame will sit underneath the sill here, and we've just sat down some road base. That means that our deck will then sit on top of this. I think I'm going crazy running these joists in all different directions, but with these pre-made frames, they actually come with pre-made decking boards, so you get 2 panels to every frame. Now, if we run it in the same direction, we'll end up with a join every metre. But what we're going to do is actually change directions so it creates a bit more of a feature. Beachside with my toes in the sand like I'm on vacation forever. And that, my friends, is one of the quickest ways you can build a deck.
The VJ panelling is thick enough that it's going to support the shelf for a moment, but I'm going to nail it and fix it in place. And to finish off these edges, I'm just using this lovely square profile timber trim, which is actually offcuts from the bench top. Now, Greg has the shelves that we made earlier, and it's going to provide some extra storage in here.
It's not just the deck that we're building out the front of this new office, we're also putting up an awning to make it look more inviting. The frame's just made out of some 70 by 45 treated pine, and then for the battens, I'm using some 40 by 30 dressed pine. Hold this awning up. We know that this back bit is going to be up against the frame, but for the front, we didn't want to put any posts because it would just take up all the room on this deck. So I put some eye bolts in, and we've got some chains hanging from the frame, and we're going to hook it up on that. You know what they say? A cha-cha chain! You reckon, Cal? Just to de-shackle each side of the chain to hold it in place, and then we'll put some bugles into the frame. This looks fantastic in here. It's amazing.
Yeah, it just shows what you can do with such a small area.
Yeah, it's
good, huh?
Beautiful.
This is Claire.
Hi, Claire.
Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you, Claire. What do you think? A little bit different?
Honestly, this is amazing.
Yeah?
I can't believe how much you've managed to do with such a small space.
And there's space for both of you.
That's right.
Yes, his and hers.
I hope you work well together.
We try to.
We'll find out.
But more importantly, how's it all going?
Yeah, coming along, 18 weeks now. And yeah, we've just found out it's a girl.
Oh, how beautiful is that? I'll tell you what, this is all done out here and it leads out onto the garden perfectly. But Ben, for you, there's only one thing left to do.
What's that?
Getting the nursery finished. Oh. Come on, mate.
Never ends.
You know, Charlie, it's very true what they say, that the beauty of the bush never really goes out of fashion.
Hey, you're not wrong, Graham. We're in Victoria in the Dandenong Ranges, and we're taking a sneak peek at a garden that is one of the most sustainable landscapes.
There is one out-of-the-box, amazing Aussie garden designer, Phillip Johnson, and he wants to reconnect us all to nature. Look at this, the Australian Chelsea garden. You brought it home.
Yep, full cycle, brought back home. For those of you that don't know, this garden was built 10 years ago on the other side of the world at the Chelsea Flower Show.
Phillip Johnson and an incredible team of Australians created history when they won gold and Best in Show. And the world came to see your garden, but so did Her Majesty.
That was just such a humbling moment, guys.
Phil Johnson, our wonderful designer.
I had an amazing 4 minutes talking to Her Majesty of how in our urban environments we're becoming so disconnected with nature.
Thank you very much, and thank you for visiting.
From Chelsea in London, up here into the mountains, the Botanic Gardens is next door.
And now you've recreated it, but you've done it 20 times bigger.
Yeah, we've wanted to scale it up. We're going to do it. We're going to make it bigger.
In Chelsea, you get 21 days to build it. How long did this take to build?
It's taken 12 months and
Yeah.
years of planning. And we found all these amazing pieces of rock in the Western District. We measured all them up. So I developed this schematic based on the original Chelsea project.
Yeah.
Then we had to have 25 semi-trailers and trucks coming in to crane these strategic rocks into position.
And tell me, when we were back in Chelsea and you were building it, you were craning in ferns into the rocks. Did you do the same thing here?
Same thing. We're mimicking nature. We're mimicking what nature has done over millions of years or thousands of years.
What was the hardest thing you built out of all of this?
The waterfall in the middle of winter. It was just horrible conditions. I had an incredible Phillip Johnson landscape team moving chess pieces all around to try to see the vision at the end.
And I guess enjoy it when it's finished like this, which you'll soon be able to do. Come and enjoy it.
So, Charlie, this is the heart and soul of the garden, what I'm about to show you.
It really is, isn't it? Because it's not just a beautiful garden, it's a working waterway system, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're harnessing surrounding stormwater from the top of the property.
Yes.
Comes down, we're collecting it, comes out through this lovely little creek that comes alive when it rains.
Yes.
And that's what fills up and sustains the billabong. So we're teaching people about water-sensitive urban design, water conservation.
And this is a completely sustainable system, isn't it? Because I've noticed you've got enormous solar panels up
Yeah,
on
that's
the
right.
hill.
It's about that education, the link of the importance of renewables that we need to move forward in this country.
Amazing. And obviously, the main feature of this area is this incredible sculpture.
So Melbourne architect Dylan Brody from Decibel Architecture reworked this to be a permanent Waratah sculpture. It was kind of the icing on the cake. It was emotional. It was like the kind of finale.
So how many species are in the garden, Phil?
So we have over 400 species in this garden and over 15,000 plants in the garden. So I wanted to represent plants from all around this incredible country.
That's a big challenge.
Especially on top of a mountain
In
a wet rainforest.
And in fact, you've got heavy soils here too, volcanic soil.
Yeah, volcanic red soil often, so you can put a finger in, you can grow a whole hand.
Yeah.
It's like incredible soil.
Let's go and have a look at some of these plants. Look at these ferns up here.
We've been lying low, haven't been talking.
Well, these amazing mountain ash trees.
Incredible, aren't they?
The local trees, they've created this microclimate for you here. Shady, moist, perfect for the tree ferns.
Yep, absolutely. Wonderful opportunity to grow these unique plants.
And the cycads, they're happy.
They're loving it.
Keep dreaming bigger dreams, and the bigger your life will get.
And around your billabong, you've got a lot of plants in, but I noticed one of your favourites, and it was also at the Chelsea, was the bottle tree. But there's a tip for home gardeners here with this bottle tree.
So I've not just planted one, I planted three. So it's like this lovely family.
As you would see in the bush, there's never just one. There's always the little seedlings around the base. But the other thing, of course, you've got here are these amazing grass trees rescued from areas where developments have taken place.
You've got to know where you're getting your plants from. You've got to make sure it meets your kind of philosophy.
Yep.
I was really reluctant, but I wanted to put these in this living kind of natural encyclopedia. And then we've got seed-grown ones, so Xanthria glauca grown from seed, which is my preferred option.
The other thing I like, you've got a mixture of textures.
Yes, absolutely. You want different textures because that's mimicking nature.
Amazing collection of plants, but I've got to stress this is actually a horticultural garden. So it's what home gardeners would actually be selecting if they went to the local garden centre. It's what you've chosen here because this is the hottest aspect.
Yeah, so north-facing, well-drained.
You've got Banksia birthday candles. You've also got the Australian version of the ajuga. Now, ajuga is an ornamental that we grow as a ground cover, but there's the Australian one. So select the Aussie one if you want a ground cover.
Couldn't agree more. And you're talking about trying things, pushing boundaries. We've got Eucalyptus macrocarpa, like that really big gum nuts from WA. We talk about biodiversity. Plant the right plant, you'll get beautiful birds, butterflies, little bush bees coming into your backyard. Have a look at this, Graham.
Oh,
incredible. Wow. Absolutely incredible.
The Wallamai nobilis, Wallamai, the dinosaur tree. What a magnificent tree. Well, a tree this big, and they're all over this hillside on the backside of the amazing billabong and the waterfall. It's been fantastic. Thanks for the invitation, pal, to share it today.
Fresh flowers are a beautiful way to bring life to your home, and I'm often asked how to create stunning arrangements if you don't have any floristry skills. Well, you can start by picking some leaves or flowers from your own garden. You don't even need to buy them from the store. And I have a great hack that's just a little bit sticky. I'm going to show you. This is super simple. The first thing you're going to need is a vase or a vessel to put your flowers in. I'm going to use this cylindrical pot. You just need to make sure whatever you're using has a fairly wide neck or opening at the top. And then you're going to want to fill it up with some water. So once your water is in the vase, you want to just take whatever flowers you're using and measure them against the side of the vase, just to make sure there aren't any that are too tall, like this little guy here, so I'll trim that down. And so they're all an even height. And I like to use one species of flower because that's the safest bet to get a stylish look. Once they're all fairly even, just like that, you pop them back into the water. And now, this is the trick. You take some sticky tape and place it in a grid across the top of your vase. So you go in one direction first, in a few rows, and then in the other direction. So Once your last piece of tape is in place, you'll see that there's a grid shape, which is what's going to hold your flowers in place. So you can start to put them in the vase. It's a good idea to start in the centre and work your way out. And you'll see the grid really creates a lovely fullness. Depending on what kind of flower you're using, you might need to play around with them a little bit. This one, for example, is quite a full head and has lots of stems and quite a few leaves, so you might just need to break a few off and place them in like that. As you go, you might need to have a look at your vase from different angles, and the great thing about this technique is that you can easily fill in any gaps, just like that. Now, you can leave it just as it is, or you can add in some other flowers and leaves. I'm going to use these sweet little buds. How pretty do these look? And we didn't have to use florist foam, which is bad for the environment and pretty expensive as well. With flowers from the garden and the sticky tape trick, you can have flowers that look like this on your mantle all year round.
We always get told to do our bit for the environment, but it's hard to know actually what that is and whether or not it really works. Well, as a teacher, Kate Flood used to battle with her students to keep them off social media. Now she uses it as a force of good to spread the word on food waste, composting and rubbish production. In fact, she's a self-proclaimed binfluencer. I guess you never miss an opportunity to collect some leaves, eh?
That's right. These are such a good ingredient in compost, so I can't help myself.
I love this. You used to be a food tech teacher. I'm trying to work out how you go from being a food tech teacher to the composting queen of Australia.
Well, you know, it's a different type of recipe that I'm now teaching, and all it's driven by my passion for cooking, but also for returning all of those nutrient-rich food scraps to the soil.
Graham Ross has always been a massive advocate of composting, and whenever I chat with him, he says, Greasy, think of it like a lasagna. Just think about the layers that go into a lasagna. So what do you think are the layers that actually make compost successful?
So the 4 universal ingredients are your browns, so they're your carbon-rich materials. So things like these brown fallen leaves, and that then you need to balance with the wet, juicy green stuff. Okay. So that's your food waste, your green garden matter, and it doesn't
grass clippings and things like that?
Yeah, that's right, but it also doesn't have to be coloured green. So it can be things like coffee grounds and manure as well. They're all full of nitrogen, and that really gets the party started in your compost bin. And then they need to be balanced with water, because you want the microbial decomposition to happen in a moist environment. Yep. And oxygen.
I absolutely love the passion which you speak about when you're talking about this. So why don't we finish these leaves and then we'll go learn some more?
Yeah, great.
So, Kate, I guess the kitchen is where composting starts for most of us.
Yeah, that's right. Look, you know, we all cook and we all eat, so we all end up with food scraps.
There's so many theories and ideas about what you can actually compost and what you should and what you shouldn't compost. But you actually kind of just throw all those rules away and go, make it simple.
Yes, totally. Anything that was once alive basically can be composted, and composted safely as well.
So in terms of food waste, how do Australians fare?
We're not the best.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. It is disappointing, because in terms of the amount of food waste individuals create per year, it's around 312 kilos, which is a lot.
Being a compost coach, did you imagine that you would have the number of followers that you had in such a short period of time?
Well, look, I am totally obsessed by compost, so it doesn't surprise me that there's other people who are really interested. Once you put on your compost-coloured glasses, you end up seeing how much organic matter you can return to the soil via composting. And what that means is all of these nutrients are going to your soil, they're not heading to landfill. With simple steps and simple how-tos, you can really, everyone can do it in their own backyard. Even if you don't have a garden, you can compost as well.
So what's this little setup you've got going on here?
Well, I'm about to show you one of my favourite forms of compost making. It's called Bokashi compost. It helps inhibit any really stinky odours, and it's something that you can even do inside. So if you don't have a garden, you can give it a crack. All you need to do, it truly is very simple. We're going to drill holes into the bottom of one of the buckets and then we keep the other one just as is. So you can see we've done all of our holes, so there's going to be plenty of drainage of that Bokashi juice.
We've had a whole lot of fun.
This now goes into here. There's a couple of bits and pieces that you need. This is the most important.
What is that?
This is EM. It stands for effective microorganisms.
Right.
And they're an anaerobic blend of bacteria. If I'm adding lots of protein-rich scraps like the prawn heads, then I add a bit more. And really, your nose knows. If things get a little bit stinky in here, add
a
more.
tiny little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that just goes in the base and then your food scraps.
Yeah, that's right. So now it's time for our food waste. And we're just going to pour this straight on top of the EM.
Yep.
And because there's not much at this point, we don't need to give it a big mash. And then finally, we're going to add another small sprinkle of the EM on top. As you're slowly filling your Bokashi bucket, it's a good idea putting something like some newspaper on top of your food waste just to create that airtight seal.
Right.
So I've showed you the DIY Bokashi bins, and now I've got some commercial Bokashi bins that have been brewing for a little while. Once you have filled a Bokashi compost bin, you need to leave the lid on firmly for a minimum of 2 weeks.
Right.
This Bokashi bin is ready to go.
Right.
So we can see now we have fluffy white clouds of the beneficial mould. And this is what we're wanting to see.
And then what do you do with it at this point?
So there's a couple of different ways of processing it. Traditionally in Japan, they would dig a hole and add the whole fermented food waste into it and bury it back up. Or you can add it to your hot or cold compost bin, or you can process it in a soil factory, and I'll show you how to do that here.
All right.
So the first thing that we're going to do is add some wood chips to the bottom, because that's going to allow really good drainage.
Okay.
The next step, you're wanting to add 2 to 3 inches of soil.
And then the good stuff.
Yep, that's right. Now we're going to pour the Bokashi on top of the soil. So now we're adding soil into the Bokashi, and it's important to use a small garden fork to actually break up that fermented waste and mix the soil in. That will really help this food waste break down quickly.
Seriously, that is impressive, but so are you. Kate Flood, to hear you talk with so much joy about composting, it is infectious to just be around you. And honestly, I can see why you're influencing people all over the world to fall in love with composting.
It is a process to fall in love with, and it's amazing knowing that you can turn trash into treasure wherever you live.
Brilliantly said.